Howdy. I thought I'd share a little part of the thing I'm working on. It's a peat paper. Yeah, I'm writing about peat still, like 2 years or something already. And I'm making a kind of overhaul of the whole paper at the moment. And it hasn't been finished, or it hasn't, it's still under construction since quite a long time. So I just thought I'd share a little piece of it. I probably have shared something in the past already, but anyway. You can watch this picture in the meanwhile. What else could you watch? There is this kind of unround halo in the sky, which I find really interesting. But anyway, Earth's magnetosphere and its magnetic pole's existence has to be considered as undeniable proof of an electric current flowing through planet Earth. They are just flying. Settle down. An electric current flowing through planet Earth. But electricity is very often ignored as being a part of natural processes, especially in cosmology. It even seems that the use of the word electricity is consciously avoided. Gravity is not understood in mainstream science. Sometimes it gets even mystified, like in this article from New Scientists, where 7 things which don't make sense about gravity are listed. And of course, there are all those links to whatever I refer to, the reference list. And I don't think this text was written without any payment. It is not surprising to find many mysteries in science, like mysteries about the gravitational force, because it's simply not a force itself. It's only an effect of electromagnetism. The electrical force is 10 to the 38 times stronger than gravity, and Einstein's theory of gravity has been debunked several times. This has to be taken very seriously. It will change the perception of reality. Many mysteries will cease to exist. Pieces will fall naturally into place through a natural understanding of attraction and repulsion, frequency, resonance, and geometry of the mechanics on every scale. Nature doesn't waste anything, ever. Shh. Ever. And peat is a great example for this. It is not only peat, metamorphosed rock, volcanism, weather, history, mythology, and astronomy, which is poorly understood, but also soil organic matter, SOM, in general. In other words, according to common theory, most things are unknown, a proven fact since they admit it by themselves. Despite this fact, all kinds of rules and laws are implied in regards to the use of peat, conservation and protection of peat lands. The arising question of the possibility this also happens in other realms than peat related is answered with a yes. So now let's go back quickly to those few things I mentioned, which aren't really understood. Let's take weather as an example. Yes, this halo picture relates to weather, obviously. And since it is very important for a scientific paper to have a good reference list, yeah, I know this even though I'm not a scientist. But I know, like, you can, in a way, influence or bring a message or whatever by using certain references. So now let's take this one example of a reference to which I refer in this particular part in this paper. Weather. So in this particular case, this is my reference to my claim that weather isn't really understood and they say it by themselves. Just alone the title, why is it so hard to predict the weather? Last update on February 14th, 2022. So it's a year old or something. Weather is a chaotic system with sensitive dependence on initial variables, so long-term forecasts remain unreliable. If we go down in this article, I won't make a whole read through. I will put a link below, you can check it out. But there is something very funny. Chaos theory. When I have been younger, I once watched a documentary about chaos theory. And I was mind blown. For many days or weeks, it in a way changed my life. But that's a long time ago. Anyway, chaos theory. A weather prediction experiment was actually what led to the formulation of chaos theory. I didn't knew that back then, even though I was very interested about the weather already. Like I have been all my life. Anyway, in 1961, Edward Lorenz attempted to create a model of accurate weather forecasts. He fed values representing different atmospheric variables to a computer in order to forecast weather. In this experiment, he found something totally by accident. When he cut short the values to only 3 decimal places from the original, which had 6 decimal places, it produced dramatically different results. An inaccuracy of less than 1 part in 1,000 in initial conditions gave forecasts that looked like they had no relation to each other. And here we have dragons. 6 decimal places, 6 decimal places, 3 decimal places. Did you know that there are many different kinds of weather phenomena which have names like hurricanes, tornadoes, and also typhoons? And this is Wikipedia once again. It's available for everyone. That's the whole idea behind it. Everyone can contribute, everyone can use it. Maybe if you live in North Korea, it's a bit different, but anyway, we will get used to it, if you know what I mean. Typhoon. Ancient Greek. Typhoon, also typhus. Typhus, was a monstrous serpentine giant and one of the deadliest creatures in Greek mythology. According to Hesiod, Typhon was the son of Gaia and Tartarus. However, one source has Typhon as the son of Hera alone, which another makes Typhon the offspring of Kronos. Typhon and his mate Echidna were the progenitors of many famous monsters. Typhon attempted to overthrow Zeus for the supremacy of the cosmos. The two fought a cataclysmic battle which Zeus finally won with the aid of his thunderbolts. Defeated, Typhon was cast into Tartarus, or buried underneath Mount Etna, or in later accounts, the island of Ischia. Typhon mythology is part of the Greek succession myth, which explained how Zeus began to rule the gods. Typhon's story is also connected with that of Python, the serpent killed by Apollo. And both stories probably derive from several Near Eastern antecedents. typhoon was from about 500 BC, also identified with the Egyptian god of destruction Set in later accounts. Typhoon was often confused with the giants. If you don't know what a dragon is, and if you don't know how many different kinds of dragons there are in the world, you should probably read up about dragons. There are dragons which are spitting fire, which could mean lightning bolts as we know it, which could also mean lightning bolts as no one ever today alive has ever seen or can even imagine. Huge plasma discharge events, things like probably created the Grand Canyon in 2 minutes. And they were swirling in the sky, the Ouroboros in a way. You know, it's spinning. If you stand at the edge of this kind of weather phenomena, you can see how the clouds are spinning around. It looks like a serpent in the sky. And since Earth's magnetic field is weakening, many places on Earth experience rather bad weather. Let it be Spain, Portugal, France at the moment, where we had some very brutal hailstorms in the Alps region, where are in recent time emerging more and more earthquakes, not just GAP, GAP, near gap. There are many, many earthquakes near gap, and it's the same place where we had yesterday, I think, there were very heavy hailstorms and strong winds and all kinds of stuff. So weather is electric in nature. It's a high and a low pressure system. It's either in a way positively charged, it will spin in a certain direction, and if it's negatively charged, it will spin the opposite direction. And if, or as we are going further into our future, we probably have to adjust ourselves to much more brutal weather. Maybe this winter there isn't going to be any constellation with this Kursk magnetic and surface Kursk magnetic anomaly and surface conductivity anomaly in Scandinavia, which is in a way, I think, positively charged, so it could attract high pressure systems, which on the other hand would indicate that we would get sunny weather, no wind, but really cold. Like in summer, if you have a high pressure system, the sun is shining and it's really hot. In the winter, the sun is shining, but it's really cold. It's a high pressure system. The sun got really active maybe a week ago. It shifted at least one gear up, maybe two already. And there are several left. And it doesn't seem that there would be any decline of the sun activity expected in the next few years. So we have to probably expect that it's just ramping up more and more and more. Simultaneously, Earth's magnetic field is declining, which means whatever stuff comes from the sun will have much more effects on Earth than it would have had 150 years ago, 200 years ago. 400 years ago was a different story because that was one of the sun cycles. Some of these names of those storms and all this kind of stuff, they have been created some 400 years ago. Vasco da Gama and other sailors, people, they invented in a way these words, which could indicate that back then they really had very bad weather, which could be one of the reasons why they went to search for better land in the first place and they discovered America. You know the story. And I found also this Heritage Daily, July 3rd, 2020. Climate change. Typhoon changed earthquake patterns. Yeah. The dragons. This must be an impressive sight from down there, looking up. The Earth's crust is under constant stress. Every now and then, this stress is discharged in heavy earthquakes, mostly caused by the slow movement of Earth's crustal plates. There is, however, another influencing factor that has received little attention so far. Intensive erosion can temporarily change the earthquake activity, seismicity of a region significantly. Yeah, I have to admit I haven't read this yet, but it was just interesting to stumble across this. Yeah, it depends. Where are you? Where are you? What, like, where you go? That's very important in order to have the possibility to stumble across things. Anyway, this has now been shown for Taiwan by researchers from the GFZ German Research Center for Geosciences in cooperation with international colleagues. They report on this in the journal Scientific Reports. The island in the Western Pacific Ocean is anyway one of the most tectonically active regions in the world as the Philippine Sea plate collides with the edge of the Asian continent. 11 years ago. Yeah, which is actually a sun cycle. What is it? Sun cycle? Yeah, one of those. Typhoon Morakot reached the coast of Taiwan. This tropical cyclone is considered one of the worst in Taiwan's recorded history. Within only 3 days in August 2009, 3,000 liters of rain fell per square meter. As a comparison, Berlin and Brandenburg receive an average of around 550 liters per square meter in 1 year. The water masses caused catastrophic flooding and widespread landsliding. More than 600 people died, and the immediate economic damage amounted to the equivalent of 3 billion euros. The international team led by Philip Steer of the University of Rennes, France, evaluated the earthquakes following this erosion event statistically. They showed that there were significantly more small magnitude and shallow earthquakes during the 2.5 years after Typhoon Morakot than before, and that this change occurred only in the area showing extensive erosion. GFZ researcher and senior author Niels Hovius says, "We explain this change in seismicity by an increase in crustal stress at shallow depth less than 15 kilometers in conjunction with surface erosion. The numerous landslides have moved enormous loads. Rivers transported the material from the devastated regions. The progressive removal of these loads changes the state of stress in the upper part of the Earth's crust to such an extent that there are more earthquakes on thrust faults," explains Hovius. So-called active mountain ranges. Active mountain ranges. In my opinion, every hill, mountain, where is water pouring out is alive. It is active, and we have to assume the activity can fluctuate and will fluctuate. Such as those found in Taiwan are characterized by thrust faults in the ground where one unit of rocks moves up and another unit down. The rock breaks when the stress becomes too great. Usually, it is the continuous pressure of the moving and interlocking crustal plates that crustal plates that causes faults to move. The resulting earthquakes in turn often cause landslides and massively increase erosion. Surface processes and tectonics are connected in the blink of an eye. Earthquakes are among the most dangerous and destructive natural hazards. Better understanding earthquake triggering by tectonics by external processes is crucial for a more realistic assessment of earthquake hazards, especially in densely populated regions. I've been saying this many times. Simply put, as above, so below. If you have bad weather in the sky, you can assume that there is bad weather below your feet. If you dig down far enough, far down, like, you will stumble across all kinds of things: magma, water, and whatever, clay. There is Earth's inner electric circuitry, the circuitry which connects the inner part with the upper part, our atmosphere, and this goes all farther out. We are connected with the Brooklyn current to our sun, which provides us with energy. Let's say good and bad energy. The good energy can be too much as well. So it's just interesting how the word typhoon, I don't know, it would be interesting to know how many meteorologists do know the origin of the word typhoon, that it means serpent. Many mythologies tell about serpents which were in the sky. So probably there will be a possibility that we can see one of those serpents in the sky as we go further into the future. As Earth's magnetic field is weakening, there is more stuff coming from the sun. So we have to expect to see something very mind-blowing in the sky. Maybe not in your place, maybe it's still in the internet and we still have internet. No one cuts off Finland from the internet. Like, you heard about the gas pipelines. If a similar thing would happen to an internet cable, there's no internet here anymore. It could happen tomorrow. No one knows. The other thing happened, just no one knew. But anyway, I think I leave it here. I drifted off too far. I think I started with my peat paper. But anyway, typhoon is a serpent, a dragon. Literally. Thanks. Bye.